Hey, how's it going, guys? Mr. Boss for the win here, and in today's GTA 5 video, I'm going to be talking to you guys about 20 things that were completely different when Grand Theft Auto Online first came out. So for many of us, this video is going to be a trip down memory lane and is probably going to bring back some serious nostalgia, but I think some of that is kind of cool. So I'm going to be looking back at like the early days, like day one, month one, etc. If you guys want to add some of your own things that you experienced back in the day but don't experience now, let us know in the comments down below. But without the way, let's not waste any more time and let's get it started. All right, the first thing today, sharing money. Now, you really had to be one of the original players to experience this because this feature was only around for a couple days. Rockstar would let you share whatever amount of cash you wanted with any player in the game. Now, as you could imagine, this was quickly abused and people were sending millions and billions of dollars to each other, but it was cool that you could just kind of like real life say, hey, here's a couple of bucks, or hey, here's a couple of million bucks. And then you could use that to help your friends buy cars or help them buy an apartment. It was really fun when everyone was just super generous and was giving money to each other nonstop. But that was a feature way back in the day that obviously doesn't exist now. Number two, the wait for Heist. Do you guys remember in the original Grand Theft Auto Online trailer, Rockstar showed off like their version of the original Heist? And then we got online on day one and we're like, how do we start the heist? Where are they? And then we didn't hear from Rockstar for like a year. Then they said they'd be coming out in spring 2015. We're like, oh my gosh, we have to wait nearly a year and a half. The wait for Heist was something that almost will never be experienced again. Because nowadays Rockstar don't like promise updates until we see them in a trailer. So the wait for Heist was quite extreme. Number three, doing contact missions and being able to repeat them. So missions like Rooftop Rumble, Violent Duct. And back in the day, instead of having to go into a new lobby and start it again, you could literally just hit right trigger and you could replay it. Now, the payouts on these missions weren't amazing, but also back in the day, things didn't cost a whole lot of money. So it was pretty easy to earn a couple, $100,000 from doing missions over and over and being able to buy yourself a car or apartment and some really valuable items. Back in the day, contact missions were seriously a pretty lucrative way to make a lot of money. Unfortunately, it's not the case right now. Speaking of lucrative ways to make money, number four, robbing stores. I used to go on store robbing sprees non-stop. And even though you'd only get a couple $1,000s each time, as I mentioned back in the day, items were not all that particularly expensive. Cars were under $100,000, apartments were relatively cheap. Now, a couple $1,000s can't even buy you a sock or a drink from the vending machine. So there's clearly a difference between back in the day and now. Number five, and these aren't even in the game anymore, robbing armored money trucks. It was so much fun to see an armored truck appear on the map and then scramble to try and get there first, throw a sticky bomb on the back of the door, and collect the $9,000 to $12,000 that would fall out of the back. Then you had to figure out what you would do after that because you were going to get a 3-star wanted level if you did that, because it's the same as attacking the cops. So that was so much fun. It was one of those free mode events that I really enjoyed, that I personally think are better than the ones we ultimately have right now. Something else that was removed at the number 6 spot today, crate drops. It was so cool to see like crate drop coming in, I think it was like 8 hours in game, which of course wouldn't be long in real time. And you would like get your helicopter, you would get your jet, and you would like be ready to roll out to wherever that thing was going to drop. And the crate drops often contained some really cool stuff, like ammo and rare items, which we'll actually touch on in a little bit. So I really enjoyed doing that and fighting other players, and I think there's a chance that something similar like that might actually return in a future update. So that would actually be kind of awesome. The number 7 spot, there were basically no armored or weaponized vehicles, which is totally different from what we see today with all the military updates we've gotten in the game. Remember, the first armored and weaponized vehicles came in the original Heist update, which was in 2015. So for all of 2013, all of 2014, there were like no weaponized vehicles. So it was actually quite peaceful. The world was way more gentle with each other. Now it seems like everyone's just griefing each other nonstop. So back in the day, there weren't as many weaponized or armored vehicles. And I think that was actually quite nice. Now, at the number 8 spot today, awful passive mode. So passive mode is nothing like it was back in the day. Passive mode was horrible. If you went in passive mode, you actually put yourself at a disadvantage because for a time, players could shoot you, you just couldn't shoot them. Also, if you got in a vehicle, players could still shoot you. So there was lots of ways in which people could actually still kill you in passive mode. It was awful. Luckily, Rockstar have fixed that, and they have made passive mode what it should be, where it's completely passive for you and other players. But back in the day, that was not the case. Passive mode was awful. I mean, it was definitely a learning experience for Rockstar. Number 9 spot today, actually having to go to Fort Zancudo to get military vehicles like tanks and jets. So there was no system where you could just spawn an APC in front of you. You couldn't just spawn a Hydra at your helipad or store it in your Smuggler's Run hangar. No, you had to go all the way up to Fort Zancudo. You had to jump the fence. You had to get the laser, hope you got out, and then make it back to the city where other people were. So it was quite a process to get those military vehicles, where now it's just the click of a button. So it really did change the dynamic of sort of the vehicles we see in online and the ones that players are really often using. The number 10 spot today, being able to store glitched and blacklisted vehicles. Like, do you remember when we could have jets in our garages, when we could have buzzards, when we had like the space docker, all these different glitched vehicles? It was so much fun. And this was back in the time when Rockstar really wasn't fixing anything like that. So you could have a giant tank in your garage and it would look absolutely ridiculous, like it wouldn't fit at all. But it was cool because your mechanic could actually deliver it to you, which was kind of a way people got around from going to Fort Zancudo and whatnot. So that was pretty crazy back in the days. Speaking of those days, the Billionaire Days at the number 11 spot. There was a time for about a month where literally everyone in Grand Theft Auto Online had billions of dollars. It was insane, and there was nothing Rockstar did about it. I mean, everyone ended up buying everything. It seems like everyone was so happy because they had everything. Eventually, Rockstar did take that money away, but for a month when everyone was billionaires, it was so much fun to just feel like Scrooge McDuck rolling around in Grand Theft Auto Online with literally everything bought. It was kind of cool. The number 12 spot, you guys might not remember this, but back in the day when you died, it cost you $5,000. Holy smokes. Do you know how much money that would cost you now if you ended up dying? Luckily, Rockstar only changed it to $500. $5,000. I mean, if you died 20 times in one session, which is not, that uncommon, that would be $100,000. That is insane. So yeah, I'm so glad Rockstar changed that because it was definitely something, it was just way too high. The number 13 spot today, free DLC. The first update that Rockstar ever added into the game, the Beach Bum update, everything was free. You clicked on all the vehicles, the clothing, the weapons, and you didn't have to pay a dime. Now, the Beach Bum update was not the most, high-tech DLC, but it was cool to be able to get everything for free, not have to spend any money on it. Unfortunately, Rockstar changed their ways relatively quickly, as every update after that has cost a lot of money. The number 14 spot today, Johnny on the Spot, the mechanic that would deliver our vehicles. So for about a year and a half, instead of just vehicles spawning into the world, we had a mechanic that would actually drive them in. Now, sometimes this was good, sometimes this was bad. He'd run you over, he'd bring it to the wrong street, but most of the time it was pretty cool to see a mechanic get out and properly deliver your vehicle. And we, of course, know that that's no longer the case. Rip Johnny on the Spot. The number 15 spot today, hunting rare cars. So now in 2018, just about every vehicle can be purchased in GTA Online. But back in the day, there was a lot of rare vehicles, like trying to find Michael's Obey tailgater in the world, trying to find Trevor's truck, the Karen Sultan. Those are vehicles you couldn't buy on the website. You had to find them in the world if you really wanted them. So hunting rare cars was extremely cool. Now most of it is just available on the website, and with one click, you can pretty much have any vehicle you want. The number 16 spot today, old website designs. So Legendary Motorsports, Warstock Cash and Carry, Southern San Andreas Super Auto has changed a lot over the years. And some of those older designs were actually kind of cool. In fact, on some of them, you didn't even get vehicle photos. It was just question marks. So Rockstar have really updated their websites. They are much more high tech now than they used to be. It is pretty crazy that back in the day, like some of the car images didn't even have photos there. So those old website designs are definitely pretty nostalgic. The number 17 spot today, going to North Yankton. So in 2013 and 14, there was a glitch where you could get you and your friends up to North Yankton, and it was so much fun to just bop around in all your different vehicles and hang out there with the snow. It was so cool because you were like literally in your own different world. Rockstar since then has patched a bunch of different methods, and it's kind of unfortunate because I would actually love to be able to officially go to North Yankton one day. I feel like it's the most reasonable expansion Rockstar could do, so hopefully sometime in the future that is something they actually try, going back to North Yankton. Number 18 spot today, ground fireworks. So Rockstar added this with the original Independence Day update, but never brought them back since. Ground fireworks are so much fun. You can set them in different patterns and with different designs and blowing up at different times. It was really cool. And for whatever reason, they just completely removed them and they gave no explanation as to why. These things were so much fun, and you could do really cool things to celebrate events, holidays, just doing crew celebrations together. Why Rockstar removed them, I don't know, but they were so much fun back in the day, and I hope one day they do return. The number 19 spot today, beer hats. This is another thing Rockstar removed, and I guess they removed them because you got them out of crate drops, but these accessories and this headgear was so awesome. They had different designs and different colors, and they're just sort of the wackiest looking things you can apply to your characters in GTA Online. So why they got rid of the beer hats, why they didn't actually add them to the store, I'll never know. But back in the day, these were so cool, and I thought they were awesome, and collecting them were really rare because you never knew when they were going to be coming back or if you were ever going to get a crate drop again. And at the number 20 spot today, the final thing we're going to be talking about, this one is kind of ambiguous, but it's less tryhards and griefers. And I feel like that sort of comes with the territory. There were less major properties you could own. There were less weaponized and armored vehicles you could have, thus making it harder for griefers to actually grief. Like they would have to go to Fort Zancudo, get the jet, bring it back to the city, and if they got shot down, they'd have to do that whole process over and over again. Now you can just spawn in a Hydra or a Kuruma or whatever the case is. It makes it much easier to grief and kill other players. So I actually did enjoy that back in the day. Like I said, lobbies were a whole lot more peaceful in my opinion, and now they're just absolute chaos. But anyways, that right there is 20 things that are completely different when Grand Theft Auto Online first came out. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments down below. Let me know what are some of the things you think are completely different from day one to how they are right now. If you guys did go on to enjoy this video, though, a like rating would, of course, be awesome. And also, subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new. We like daily GTA 5 videos like this. With all the way, guys, like I said, thanks so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.